Hello everyone, in today's video I thought we'd take a look at a quick VATSIM thing, and we're actually going to be dealing with a realistic issue, and that's going to be trying to get through somebody's airspace even though you don't necessarily need flight following. So let's take a look at the little conundrum we have here. So I'm here at Simsbury Airport. This is a little quiet airport, and right next to us is Bradley International Airport, which is a big scary airport, and you can see that they're nice enough to cut a little teeny tiny chunk of this world out for us so that we can somehow not go through their airspace. Unfortunately, I have a destination of Hartford Brainerd Airport right now, so in order for me to get down there safely, I'm basically going to have to ask them for permission to kind of zip through and choo-choo through there like that. Now, that's going to be a little interesting for us because they're going to have to hand us off to Hartford or to a different airport in order to safely actually land at Hartford. Now, it's actually going to get kind of interesting because we'll have to actually ask for permission before we take off, get permission, fly through the airspace, and then when they hand us off, we have to basically call up the people on the other side. And the interesting thing here is if I wasn't flying at 2,500 feet, I wouldn't have an issue because I wouldn't go smacking through the airspace. I could actually basically go like this and get around it. But that's I find that to be kind of poor form. And plus, like I said, I still need to talk to the good folks at Hartford. So let's go ahead and see if we can figure this puzzle out. So we know we're looking around real quickly with Bradley Approach, which is at 123.950. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and dial that in real quick. 123.950. Let's go pop that in. I'm going to flip that over there.
6621 Delta, contact Boston Center 134.7. Have a good flight.
Over to Boston Center, 134.7.
So we also know that they have an ATIS of 118.15. So I'm actually going to dial that in first so that when we give them a call, we can give them the appropriate information. So when we do get the permission to do things, we'll be able to kind of choo-choo over. So let's go ahead and dial that in real quickly here. Looks pretty good, 118.15. And let's get out of...
Instructions and assigned altitude. IWAS information for CT Geo area available on flight, sir. Frequency. Advise on initial contact. You have information, Tango.
Tango. So what we're going to do is we're going to call them with Tango, and we're going to request transition and see if they give us a permission.
VGL8 is information, Tango.
Swap.
To
So the other thing we're going to want to do, too, is we're going to get the Boston Center, which is 134.70, because we're going to need that frequency once we get up to higher altitude. All right, let's go ahead and grab it. Uh-oh. It helps if you grab the correct handle there as well. 134 point, so we're going to go up to 70, we said. So I'm going to go ahead and crank this sucker down to 70. And we're just going to leave that in the secondary piece here so we can go ahead and transfer. So when we do get to Hartford, we can go ahead and give them a call. So let's go ahead and give them a quick little courtesy call. I'm just going to grab my headphones first so that when I do call them, I can actually hear what on earth they're actually saying. All right. Looks good. So our off time today was supposed to be in about 2 minutes, but I think we can give them a quick call. So what I'm going to do is hit them with a courtesy call first. Bradley Approach, Red 64.
Red 64, Bradley Approach, go ahead.
Bradley Approach, Red 64, requesting transition through your airspace to get to Hartford Brainerd. I'm at Simsbury. So what he's going to do now is he's going to identify where I am and basically figure out what my squawk code is so that I can basically talk to him and sneak through. Now the interesting...
Red 64, squawk 7352.
7352, Red 64. So we're going to do 7352. So what he's doing now is he's looking at me at his scope, trying to work out exactly where I am. While he's doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly pop this over to Hartford so that I can have it all ready to go when he does give me the permission. Good time to kind of get everything ready, start making your way over to the runway, making sure everything's good.
Red 64, are you in the air? I don't see you on my radar right yet.
We're currently on the ground at Simsbury, but as soon as we take off, we're going to go flying right into your space.
Okay, roger, copy.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take off, and as soon as we take off, we're just going to give them a quick little call and let them know what our position is as soon as we do get airborne. Sometimes what they'll do is have the ability to kind of give us a little heads up, and again, they can't see us until we get airborne, but we'll go ahead and set ourselves up. Normally what you do is you'd want to be on 122.80. 122.80 is kind of the Unicom frequency for all of VATSIM here. In this case, like I said, there's nobody else parked here, so I'm not too worried about it. So what I'll do is as soon as I get airborne, I'm going to pull away from their airspace. Remember, they have that little kind of chunk or carved on it pulled out of it, so that when I do that, I'll have the ability to go ahead and kind of sneak through. Now, the interesting thing is I'm very curious to see if he hands me off to Boston Approach for the purposes of landing at Hartford. This brings back memories. I've landed at this runway in the real world many a time. And this is the same issue you have in the real world, too, which I find kind of interesting. Go ahead and sneak down here. This is a short field, so I'm going to go ahead and put down one notch of victory flaps here. And we're just going to make our way down the end of the runway. We're going to do a little 180. Good old 2,100 feet of usable runway here, which is plenty, and it should get us going pretty effectively. All right, I'm going to go sneak down to the end of the runway here. So what we're going to do is as soon as we get airborne, we're just going to call him and let him know what our altitude is. And like I said, we're going to pull off to the side and try to get over towards the east, which is where I'm pointing right now, so that by the time he can identify us, he can then go ahead and allow us to get permission. In the real world, by the way, as soon as they give you your call sign in Charlie Airspace, you actually have permission to go ahead and clear through. But of course, you have to obey any instructions they may give you. Off we go. V1. Rotate. V2. Alright, we're going to get up to over these mountains real quick. Pop up the flaps. And we're just going to give them a quick little call once we get a little tiny bit of altitude. And I'm going to get up to 400 here. Again, we can kind of sneak over to the side here in order to avoid that airspace until they give us that permission. Fairly approach, Red 64 is at 400, climbing 2,500.
Red 64, radar contact. Did you want flight following?
We don't need flight following. We just need transition if that's possible. 6-4.
Roger, Red 64. You can proceed on course and maintain outer below 4,000 for now.
Outer below 4,000, Red 64. Thanks. That's it. So what they did is they just said proceed on course. They've also set a tail number, which means we can now go sailing right on through. The reason he gave me that restriction of 4,000 feet, because if you remember, 4,200 feet is the limit of his airspace. So the reason he's doing that for us is he's basically trying to keep us inside of his control zone so that he has the ability to basically kind of hand us off once we get a little bit closer to Hartford. Now, the interesting thing is some of you might go, well, why did you just ask for flight following? Well, sometimes you don't need flight following, or, you don't want to be bothered with flight following. So it's kind of an effective way to sort of get around that by basically getting just the transitions of the airspaces. Of course, without flight following, now it's your responsibility to make sure that you're not doing something dangerous like trying to sail through somebody's airspace without asking. So that's kind of the consequence. So again, everything is not without its challenges. So what he's going to do is we're going to take a right turn, and what's going to happen is we're going to line ourselves up with Hartford. Now, the interesting thing is Hartford's airspace ends at 2,500 feet, which means if we actually...
64, I'll provide you Class Delta services at Hartford as well, Brainerd as well. So did you have a preference on which runway, 2 or 20?
Could we get runway 20, please? Red 64.
Roger, Red 64. You can enter a right base for runway 20 and I'll report 5 miles out.
We'll enter into a right base for 20, report 5 miles, Red 64. Nice! So in this case, because the airports are so darn close to each other, he's actually given me permission to basically line ourselves up with the runway before we even get to our destination. So in this case, I'm actually not going to go too high here. The reason he's providing me the Class Delta is so I don't have to go talk to Brainerd, or I should talk to the good folks up at the top. Now, 5 miles is super easy. It's going to be this number right here. Once this is the number 5, we're ready to go. But like I said, we got to line up for a 20. Now, if I quickly grab my little heading bug here, 20 is actually very, very close to where we are at current. I'm going to go ahead and line this up for us real quick so you can see it. So I actually need to come to the left a tiny bit here to kind of get ourselves all set up. And I definitely need to lose some altitude. The traffic pattern altitude is only 1,018 feet. All right, you can see my base here is an absolute garbage base. But again, I'm trying to get close enough to do it. Delightful. All right, let's do it. Like he said a right base. So for us, this is more of a straight in. To do a right base, what we would really have to do is kind of go like this to sneak in. Again, the airport's right where my mouse is right now. But like I said, we're not going to worry about that too much. In other cases, let's say I was flying up to Groton or something like that, he would have handed me off to basically Boston Center, which owns all the airspace above us right now, so that he could take care of me for the landing. Because remember, in VATSIM, you're always controlled by the next airspace above your head. So in this case, he's basically overstepping a little teeny tiny bit in order to kind of cross the 50 feet to get to Hartford. But I do appreciate the hard work that he's doing here because he made my life so much simpler. So you can see I got 6.7 nautical miles. He said call him at 5, so I'm going to call him at 5. The other thing is that when we do get there, it's highly recommended that you go ahead and request whatever you're going to request. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to ask for a full stop and make it simple. And again, I'm just kind of sinking nice and gently here. I don't need to do anything excessive. So what we're going to do is we're going to call him, Red 64, 5 mile right base for 20, Brainerd. There's a little bit of altitude here. And again, that's so awesome. I'm so glad he helped us out here. I guess that was the downside of picking a runway that was so darn close to our departure place, but it's just kind of the way that things worked. So you can see I got 5.5 to go. I'm not quite square here. I actually need to come to the right a little bit if I'm going to start squaring off here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a gentle right turn, start squaring it off, and once I hit the 5-mile point, I'll go ahead and start calling him back there. There it is right there. Bradley approach, red 64 is on a 5-mile right base for 20, requesting full stop.
Red 64, wind 2808 at 8, runway 20, clear to land.
Runway 20, cleared to land, red 64, thanks. That's it. So now he's cleared us to land, and that's all we have to worry about now. So I'm actually going to pull myself a little bit closer in here, up towards Rensselaer. That's where the really, really old airport used to be. It actually was a bigger airport than Hartford. I just find it funny that it's like a tale of two airports here. But we have this little tiny one that I use all the time, and then we have this one, which unfortunately they closed down. All right, now all we got to do is land the plane and make sure we get the proper frequencies, and we're on our way. Not so bad, right? And one of the cool things is if you're traveling really long distances and there's exactly one airport along the way that you want to go ahead and request permission to go ahead and be able to kind of get by, that is just a great strategy to go ahead and do that. All right, I'm going to come swing around this way. Nice. See, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. This is giving me some flashbacks to flying in the real world a little bit here, but that's okay. That's okay. In the normal world, what you do is you just stay a little lower.
Bradley approach, giving a Rhino 12 heavy, 1000 with the numbers, requesting ILS 23.
Rhino 12 heavy, Boston at Christian Bradley approach. Good afternoon. Westover Airport, Christian Westover, altimeter 3001.
01, thanks, Rhino 12 heavy.
And you can expect the ILS from 23 approach.
Thank you, sir.
So somebody's practicing with an F-18. I wonder why that's getting done. You can imagine just a few weeks ago we had the big world update. And in that big world update, they added the F-18, so you knew it was coming. So this is very, very odd. This is the world's longest right base here. But again, it's perfectly valid as long as you're not crossing any lines and you're staying within the appropriate airspeeds here. All right, time to go ahead and get it ready for our landing here. I'm going to go ahead and make sure my landing lights are set to
Rhino 12 heavy, descend and maintain 6,000.
11 for 6,000 and it's 150 heading given by center.
All right, Roger, you can actually make it a let's do 120 for now.
That's a lot better, thanks. 120, Rhino 12 heavy.
All right, we're lined up. We're going to get to our speed. We're a little on the high side, but again, this runway has the most sketchy dike/tree combination. Also, in the real world, there's a power plant right there, and of course, there's all these big nasty power lines across the river.
Bradley approach. I got it here. 357 here. Bradley signature with Tango or IFR to Hartford.
Okay, 357 clear to the Hartford Airport via radar vectors direct.
Nice.
Maintain 3,000. Departure frequency with me, squawk 7360.
Yep.
Thanks, circulate to Hartford, radar vectors direct, and then 3,000 departure is with you, 123.95, and squawk 7360 for Carrier 37.
Okay, 357 readback is correct. Did you want 2433 for departure?
I'm enjoying this conversation.
Please.
Roger. Rhino 12, descend and maintain 4,000.
Descend of 4,000, Rhino 12 heavy.
I always like to land right there on that line. All right, gentle on the brakes. Delightful. Feel it?
Charlie Tango 0420 with information Tango, request IFR to LaGuardia.
Charlie Tango Oscar 420, Christian clearance and request number 1, stand by. Rhino 12, proceed direct FOBs, cross FOBs, outer above 4,000, cleared ILS runway 23 approach.
So now we got to ask him for permission to taxi.
4,000, cleared ILS runway 23 approach, Rhino 12 heavy.
Bradley approach, red 64 is on Delta, request taxi to the Jet Center. So what he's going to do now is he's going to...
And red 64, you can taxi to parking via Delta and, parking via Delta.
Arkin via Delta, Red 64. Thanks for your help. Happy holidays. That's it. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go straight across and we're going to pop over here. So hopefully this video helps alleviate a little bit of your anxiety as far as requesting transition from a different source of airports. The great thing about transition is, like I said, is you can kind of get that sort of in advance. I'm actually going to go ahead and pop off the radio real quick so we don't have to listen to it. So that gives...
1-2, did you need a circle for, or hold for lower there, or are you good with the height?
Go ahead, disconnect.
Nah.
So one of the great advantages of transition, like I said, is if you only have one airport and you don't want to go through the hassle of changing frequencies all the time, you can get that transition real quick, zip through the airspace, and then pop out on the other side. Other than that, enjoy.